Good afternoon and welcome to the May 12th meeting of the Rotary Club of North Jackson. Before we begin, I'd like to invite Rob to lead us in invocation, pledge, and four-way test.
Please pray with me. Oh God, we echo the special tribute to our mothers. Whether living or deceased, our mothers are remembered with affection and appreciation. Bless to our use the food provided and the fellowship which we enjoy. We offer this prayer with a continuing sense of gratitude for all blessings bestowed upon us. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And our four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair for all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, Rob. Udiel will come forward and announce our birthdays and anniversaries for this week.
Bruce Deere, May the 14th, happy birthday. And wedding anniversaries, we have Dana and Julie Ryan. On May 17, Mac and Susan Deaver. And on same day, popular day for weddings, Poe and Glenn Luton. Membership anniversaries, none. So.
Thank you, Udiel. Do we have any visiting Rotarians or guests today? No. Okay, so we will move on. Many of you have already heard the wonderful news regarding Don's recovery. Don was released from the ICU at UMMC and returned home Friday afternoon. He's resting at home and doing well considering everything he went through the past 2 weeks. During his hospital stay, he required 33 units of blood. I honestly didn't realize how significant that amount of blood is until I asked my husband, and he said a normal person, an average person, usually has like 10 to 12 units of blood. So basically, it's like 3 times, right? Yeah, changing the blood 3 times over. Please continue to donate blood through MBS if you are able. For those who cannot donate, financial contributions to MBS are also greatly appreciated as the need for blood is always ongoing. Don has a doctor's appointment this afternoon, and we hope you have an update.
He's right, he's at the doctor.
He is at the doctor's appointment as we speak, so hopefully we'll get some good news. Please continue to pray for Don and all others in need. Following his recovery journey has filled all our hearts with gratitude. We are thankful beyond words for God's grace and mercy. Please also keep fellow Rotary family member John Dorsa in your prayers as he is currently out on medical leave while his wife undergoes surgery for breast cancer. Yeah, I have been communicating with him, so he'll be, for a few weeks, I guess, he'll be out on a medical leave. We have a last minute change for our meeting on Tuesday, next Tuesday, May 19th. Originally, we were planning to hold our fundraiser in the evening at 6:30 here at the same place, but we do not have a good response, I guess. Very few people have signed up. So Monica, as I was entering, she actually suggested, why don't we just move it during lunch? And I think, Monica, that's a great suggestion. Udiel and I talked about it, and I think that's what we're gonna do now. So please remember that we will be meeting for that fundraiser next week, May 19th at noon at our regular meeting here. That's gonna save us some money because there won't be any wine.
Why not?
See, I was actually, I volunteered to donate wine. But Menship would not allow us to bring outside wine. So they said we have to buy it from them. So then we had to cut corners. All right. Now, bring guests. Yes, so it's not only for our club members, but anyone who's interested and who wants to just come and enjoy some good music and participate in the fundraiser, that would be great. Now it's my honor to introduce our speaker, Mr. Walt Grayson. Walt Grayson is a veteran broadcaster. He began his career in radio in Greenville, where he was in high school, He shifted to full-time television in 1984, becoming a weather anchor and feature reporter at WLBT. He's the host of MPB, Mississippi Roads Show. Now Walt does the Daily Sip at 3:30 on Channel 12, WJTV, as well as hosts a feature story show on WJTV Plus app. He's married to his junior high school sweetheart, Ms. Joe. Between them, they have 4 kids, 4 grandchildren, and 6 great-grandchildren. Please join me in welcoming Mr. John Grayson.
Thank you very much. Good to see you all today, and I appreciate the invitation. Sometimes I get up and start to talk to a crowd, and I really don't know where to start. And I said that one time. I said, "Gosh, I just don't know where to start." Somebody back in the back says, "Start toward the end." So we'll shoot for that. Let me explain my family situation to you. I am married to my junior high school sweetheart. However, I have not always been married to her. She had been married and I had been married, and she hit a bump in her marriage about the same time I did. And so we decided, why not? Let's get back together. If that sounds like a good idea, let me warn you, it's a lot different when you're 50 than it was when you were 15. I already had a daughter. She was grown and gone. Joe had 3 kids. And yes, she already had 4 grandkids at that time. Now then we have 6 grandkids that are hers. Now this is where it gets complicated. This is where it becomes a Faulkner novel, because some of the grandkids have gotten divorced and remarried to people who already had kids. I don't know how they're related. I know they are because they've all borrowed money from me. But I think somewhere in this country, I have a 25-year-old step-great-grandson. And after a while, it gets so complicated to where it'll be like that Homer and Jethro song, you know, I'm my own grandpa. You got even that one is before my time, and I've got to go back and listen to it somehow, how they worked it around the marriages and remarriages to where the guy became his own grandfather. But anyway, but I'm glad to be here today. I won't keep you long. I know you got to get back to where you were going. That's another thing. We had an evangelist came to our church one time, and he got up, and he was going to be real glib to begin with and get our attention, tell us a joke, and then tell us what sinners we were, you know, after we were feeling good. So anyway, so he got up and he said, I don't intend to keep you long. And he says, isn't that what Elizabeth Taylor said to each one of her perspectives as they were standing there taking their vows? So I was going to use that one time. I got in front of this crowd. Well, I patterned my talks after an Elizabeth Taylor marriage, as she was standing in the altar with her betrothed and said to him as they were pronouncing vows, I don't intend to keep you very long. A sea of blank faces, and I realized, my gosh, these people don't know who Elizabeth Taylor is. And I got to thinking, well, there goes all my Woody Asaph stories.
And I'm really miss not being able to tell my Bert Case stories anymore either. I would tell you what about Woody though. If y'all are not familiar with Woody, I'll tell you who. If you've been here for any time at all, you know who Woody Asaph was. Woody was the longtime weatherman on WLBT. He was there when I got there, and for 30-something years prior to that, I think. I was 4 years old when Woody started doing weather. And I was an old man when he quit. But I was walking through the studio one day, and I was kind of hobbling, had a sore knee. And Woody asked me, he said, "Bud, what's wrong with your knee?" I told him, "It's Woody, I don't know. It hurts. I guess I'll have to go to a doctor." He says, "That won't do you any good." He said, "I had a sore knee one time, went to the doctor. The doctor tried to tell me it was old age." And Woody turned to the doctor and says, "Well, it can't be old age." The doctor says, "Well, why not?" He says, "Well, the other knee's the same age. It feels fine." So, it's just some logic you can't defy. That's it. I don't want to keep you very long, but let's see. You can just see my book. Here you go. Get this out of the way first. I don't want to keep you very long because I want to give you a chance to come buy a book before you have to go back. This book is called "Oh, That Reminds Me, More Mississippi Homegrown Stories with Walt Grayson," and I think there's more words on the cover than in the rest of the book. But this is a book that I wrote in association with the Electric Power Associations of Mississippi. I had done 2 books with them prior to that. We did one called "Looking Around Mississippi" with Walt Grayson, sold out in 2 weeks. We did another one a few years later called "Looking Around Mississippi Some More" with Walt Grayson. Took a little longer, took a couple of months to sell that one out. We did this one and released it right in the middle of a depression. Got scads of these left. So if anybody wants to make this one, help make this one a collector's item, they're $20 each. I've got a lot of my stories in here, but primarily these are stories that other people have told about what they think about Mississippi, and included a photograph with it. And I got some of my photographs in here too. And the "Oh, that reminds me" part comes along because when they would write something, whatever they wrote to accompany their picture, most of them reminded me of a story. So I got a bunch of stories in here that I would have never written in another book had it not been for the way this one turned out. The other reason that it's good that I'm here today, because I can sign it for you. And I have heard that an autographed book brings a whole lot more at the garage sale later. So the $20, and if we get through talking in time, we'll do business. 2 or 3 things I've learned while I was in broadcasting, and I've been in broadcasting since, I don't even admit being that old. I've been in broadcasting that long. I started when I was in high school.
Black and white.
Exactly. No, I was in AM radio, and it was still black and white. So. Black and white television. We didn't even have a TV station in Greenville when I started. Channel 6 came there later, about the time I came to Jackson. And when I came to Jackson, there were 2 TV stations here. There was Channel 3 and Channel 12. No cable. They could put a test pattern on and get viewers. You know, now, I was talking to our engineer yesterday about how many television stations there are on the air in Jackson, because you know now, if your television breaks, you don't get it repaired, you go to Best Buy and get another one. And but you've got to scan your antenna. You hook your antenna, if you've got an antenna on your television, scan your antenna so that it will find all the stations and load it into whatever it loads it into inside this thing. So I was telling him that on my last television that I bought, I scanned in over 30 local channels, because you know we got 3, 12, 16, ETV, don't leave anybody else, but all of them have subcarriers. I think there's a channel 35, there may be some others, channel 23, and all of these things have like 4 or 5 channels on their channel. And I think, you know, here you got what, 30 channels that you can get off your antenna, and then you've got your internet that's infinite, and then you've got whatever cable channels you're buying. You know, if you can get anybody besides your mother watching you nowadays, you're doing pretty good, because there's so much to choose from. And it really is, it's kind of a challenge for television stations. I do like the good old days when it was just in 2 or 3 AM radio stations, and that was it. You played the hits and everybody knew your name. But now then, Even radio is diluted to the point to where that I'm not sure what I'm listening to half the time. It's just a button, it's got this thing on my steering wheel that I can hit, and if I don't like what's on this one, I hit it and it goes up to the next one. So things have changed over the years. That's the hardest thing that I have to get used to, because the things that I used to count on as being a sure story, like if I needed the story, I could always call Gordon Cotton over at the Old Courthouse Museum over at Vicksburg. Gordon always had a story. And I called Gordon about something to do with the Civil War. He was an expert on the Civil War. He would always start off with something like, well, I don't know much about it, but, and then 45 minutes later, he's still telling you what it is that he didn't know about it. I thought I was doing good knowing that at the ruins of Windsor, that Grant camped his troops in the cornfields at the ruins of Windsor. Gordon Cotton could tell you what day they got there, at what time, and when they left, and what they had for breakfast. It was amazing. All these people who kept up, well, he's gone now. All the folks that I used to do stories with, some of the places are gone. I was shocked the other day on the Font of All Knowledge, Facebook, which is always accurate, I saw a picture of the Schaefer House, a current picture of the Schaefer House on the Port Gibson battlefield. And I've done all kinds of stories in the past about the Schaefer House. It's the only building left standing. It's between the ruins of Windsor and Port Gibson, back off the road a ways. It was, at one time, was in pristine condition. I was shocked. This thing looks like it's about to fall down. And so now then, I was thinking, well, I need to go back out to Schaefer House and do an update. Then I got to thinking, I don't know if I remember how to get out there or not. But things are constantly changing, so and y'all are a lot younger than I am, so if you're not used to things changing, just get used to it, they will change. And so that's the only thing that you need to get used to, is the fact that you can't get used to anything. But a couple of three, yes?
How many episodes of Mississippi Roads were there?
Well,
Approximately.
let me see. We did 13 a year. We did 13 new shows a year. I think I did them for 20 years. We haven't quit. Mississippi Roads is not officially dead. We just hadn't done one since 2022. They did a scat of them for about 5 years back before I started. So do all the math, there's a bunch of them.
400 or 500.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. The good thing about and they run the reruns every Thursday of Mississippi Roads. The big advantage of that, I was in Walmart, this lady back behind me, she said, Walt, you just never change. I went, thank God for those 10-year-old reruns of Mississippi Roads every year. But yeah, if you know a legislator, just put a bug in their ear, ask them to bump a little more money toward MPB, because we'd love to start doing roads again. I think that's one of the greatest things that Mississippi had going for it, because I find so many people around the state tell me that they had never heard of so-and-so or whatever it was until they saw it on Mississippi Roads. I don't want to admit most of the time I had never heard of those things either until we went and did the story. Let me tell you a real quick road story. This is one of the things that one of my pearls of knowledge that I gained while we were out on the road. I was doing full-time weather at WLBT when they asked me to be the host of Mississippi Roads. And I told them I'd be glad to do it, but we got to shoot everything on the weekend. And they wanted me so bad that they decided to do that. I don't know if they'd accommodate that or not, but so every weekend we took off and we shot 2 episodes on a Saturday, spent the night somewhere, and shot another episode on Sunday. One of the first places we went was Arcola, Mississippi. Does anybody know where Arcola is? See? I knew people had watched that episode. Arcola is about 10 miles south of Leland, which is about 10 miles east of Greenville, which puts it roughly kind of in the middle part of the Delta. And it was the coldest day of the year so far when we went there. But I was ready for it. I'm a full-time weatherman. I'm aware of these things. So, I had my bomber jacket on, a little scarf around my neck, probably had a hat on, I would think. And so as I was about to stand in front of the camera and deliver my lines, the producer throws his hands up and says, oh no, Walt, you can't dress like that. It looks like winter. Now, I'm looking at ducks walking on ice on Deer Creek back behind me, and I'm thinking, yeah, I make it look like that. But so I put on my sports coat, shivered through my lines, and when we got through with my part, I got back in the van, and because they still had to take pictures of what I had just talked about, I told them, great, I'll keep the door closed to make sure the heater doesn't go off while y'all are out there. The last thing they wanted to get a shot of is they wanted to get a shot of the tombstone of the founder of Arcola. So we pulled up next to the cemetery, and between us and the cemetery, there was an electric fence. I stayed inside the van and hurriedly closed the door because it was pointed toward the north and the whirlwind was sucking all my warm air out. But the photographer hopped out, the audio guy got out, and the producer got out, and they gingerly hopped across that fence. About the time the photographer was going to set up the tripod, they were surrounded by 4 huge bulls. The photographer had the tripod up like a baseball bat. He just didn't know which one to swing at first. We're grown-ups here, so I can tell you one of the bulls marked his spot. So did the producer. So I'm thinking, well, we're not going to get anywhere today if the bulls don't get occupied doing something else. So I stepped outside the van, stayed on my side of the fence, waved at the bulls. They came down to see what I was doing. To his credit, the photographer got a shot of that tombstone. Now, they may have had to have still framed it. He may have gotten the shot while he was running past it, I'm not sure. But they all piled back in the van, and I guess you could say it was a contemplative silence. Fell over the interior of our vehicle while we headed back toward Jackson, as we all looked and remembered in what we had just seen. And I guess we were down about Hollandale before anybody spoke up, and it was the producer, and he said, fellas, maybe it's just me, but I think next time I come up on an electric fence, before I just hop over that thing, I'm gonna ask myself, why do you suppose this is here? So my little light bulb goes off, and I was thinking, I run across so many people, and it's not only in broadcasting, but it's in every aspect of life. I mean, from preachers and everybody else you're associated with, who hopped over one of society's electric fences, life's electric fences, without contemplating what they may be stepping in when they got on the other side, and completely destroyed what they had built up so far. So that's one of the things that I have tried to do since then, is when I run across temptation or whatever it is try not to get involved. Well, Mark Twain said it best, I think. This is something I wished I'd known when I was 13 years old. Mark Twain said, the best way to stay out of something is just don't get into it to begin with. I told that to some 8th graders one time. I said, let me tell y'all how I kicked my crack cocaine habit. And I said, don't stop listening in the middle of this sentence. Because I didn't want them to go home and say, hey, did y'all know Walt Grayson used to take crack cocaine? And then their parents would say, well, that explains a lot. The way I kick my crack cocaine habit is I never started. So just don't start, you don't have to worry about quitting later. So anyway, that's my Mississippi Road story. How much time I got left? I don't want to get y'all, oh gosh, it's time to quit almost. Anybody got any questions? I know, yes.
This year's El Nino, what does that mean?
That means that there's going to be an abnormal warming of the Pacific Ocean right along the equator, I think. And this abnormal warming, is 2 degrees warmer than it normally is. But it affects weather patterns around the globe. Usually for us, that means drier, I think, than normal. They keep saying that it could be a bad hurricane season, but I don't recall a year when they didn't say, oh, it's going to be a bad hurricane season. And we never get one. Yes?
What was the very first Mississippi road you did?
The very first one that I did was in Indianola. Indian Bio. I don't remember much about it. I didn't write those. That's the confession. I didn't write those, but I love to take credit for them because people think I'm so smart and know everything about Mississippi. And I said, no, I just know what you know because I watched the show. The only difference is I watched it while we did it. You watched it after they edited it. Yes, sir. Oh, the most interesting one? Oh, my goodness. That'd be a tough one. I liked Graceland 2. Graceland 2 is the guy in Holly Springs that had every syllable, I think, that Elvis ever said anywhere recorded somehow or another. He had more Elvis memorabilia than anything. Named his son Elvis. So, you know, that's the other thing I miss. We are just completely out of crazy people in Mississippi. not that he was crazy. He was very dedicated to what he did. I did enjoy that though because he was awfully fun. I did a story. Hang on, got one more. I did a story with a guy in Neshoba County one time who was a whittler. He made little bitty things. Someone had commissioned him to do a totem pole. And so I went up to, a full-size, not a miniature, full-size totem pole. And so I was interviewing him about his totem pole. He says, well, this makes two, my first and my last. And looking at his little miniatures, I said, I'd really be afraid to take on the job of whittling one of those things. He says, oh, it's nothing to it. Says, to put it as a way in Neshoba County it would put it, which is the way he said, so why? You can take a piece of firewood and do anything with it you want to, and it'll still burn when you get through. So the next time you're afraid to take on a challenge, remember if it doesn't work out, it'll still burn when you get through. So, yes, sir.
Yeah, you talked about change. How has technology and the internet and streaming, et cetera, affected the TV business?
Oh, God, this night and day and color. And from black and white fuzzy television when I first started out to the flat screen color TVs that you have now. And it's in the internet, it is to the point. Anybody in television who does not have a 12-year-old grandchild's in trouble because they need to have somebody that can explain this stuff to them. And it's the kids growing up with it. They grew up with it. And I still have some problems. I can work my computer, I can work the programs on my computer to get it to do. I edit on my computer all the time. But it's phenomenal. And this is just the beginning. I could foresee a day when the towers come down and we watch everything off the internet. Almost are now. Yes.
I have a different question. What does a producer do?
A producer, I've been asking the same question. They
set you up for that.
They sit in the control room and they holler in your ear. And the producer is the one who fills up the newscast, they time it all out, and they make sure that according to the read rate and the time rate and all that they can get everything in the allotted time. And then Dorothy Dawley was our traffic manager at WSLI Radio. I refer back to a little tag she had on her desk that said that, how'd it go? I do not get to run the train, I cannot ring the bell, but let the damn thing jump the tracks and see who catches hell. So that's mostly what a producer does. If it doesn't come out on time, the producer catches it. So.
Well, in the field, you talk about the field too.
What?
While he's out shooting, you have a producer.
So you got a director too, right?
Let's-
Someone who says this, this, and this.
Tell you what, yeah, we used to have, roads we had a producer. Let me tell you what we have out in the field now when we go shoot stories. Yeah, this is what I shoot my stories on now. And work, yeah, just like that. Yes, sir.
Why don't you co-author a book with Mr. Cooper in Vicksburg guy with his Civil War story?
Oh, well, I would, but he's dead.
That makes it easier.
That's, but I wouldn't have to argue with you much about which version we put in the book, though, would we? That's the thing. So many people, I met so many people, all the people that I felt so sorry for. I'll close it with that. I really felt sorry for a guy one day. He was 90-something years old. I don't know how we got on the subject of it, except maybe when people see me, they think old. But he was talking about, said he's the last one. Says his wife is gone, all their friends are gone, all their families are gone. He's the last one. So he doesn't have anybody to talk to. And I really felt sorry for him because he looked like he was in pretty good health. But so, 2 things: stay healthy, but make some younger friends. So, listen, I don't want to hold y'all up. I know you need to get back to work, things like that. But I'll be glad to take you $20 bills and sign you a book up here. And y'all invite me back sometime because I got a bunch more stories. If I could just remember them. That's all.
Thank you, Walt. This is a Rotary mug created by a local artist.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you for speaking to us at such a short notice. We really needed some good laughs, especially given Dawn's sickness for the last few weeks. We have been feeling really low.
Yeah.
So thank you for uplifting us.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Thank you.
Okay, we'll adjourn the meeting now with the Rotary motto.